What the art of writing a legal research paper. Okay, I'm extremely sorry for the inconvenience. Okay, so any means, it's better to be late than never to be. So let's get started with the art of writing a legal research paper. Okay, before I start with, so my name is A. Jahangir. Okay, so let me have some brief introduction of myself. So by profession, I'm a teacher. Okay, I've been teaching English for more than a decade. Okay, and with a passion to learn law, I have joined LLB 3-year program, and I'm pursuing 3-year LLB program. So I'm an end of the second year, most probably for the fourth semester. Okay, so that was a little bit uh, from my side. So today we'll be looking at the art of writing a legal research paper. So before we dwell into more details, let us first try to understand why we need a research paper or who writes a research paper. Now, in short, research paper is an effective tool, okay, to not only showcase your research work, but also to tell the world that you're someone who's able to who is able to analyze, who is able to critically look at the things, and who's able to handle the things in a better way, and especially why we need to write a research paper. So when you write a research paper, so you're showcasing your skills like analytical skills, critical thinking skills. So this will wide open the job opportunities, especially for youngsters who want to get into or who want to establish in themselves as a good lawyer. This will be a very good opportunity to showcase your work. Okay, so keeping this basic inputs, so let us get started with today's session. Right. So just now we have looked at research paper. So if you look at a word research means if there is an issue, if there is a problem, okay, which requires a further consideration. Okay, so where you need to explore the things in more detailed, okay, than it was uh, taken or done. Okay, so whenever there's a problem, whenever there is a issue, a problem and issue doesn't end at any point of time. So there may be recurring issues, there may be recurring problems related to a problem which we think that it has been resolved. So there will be always a scope for carrying on a research. Okay, so a research paper basically is a scientific approach, or it's an official document which a research scholar writes on on a certain problem or a issue. Okay, so when we say that it's a scholarly document, okay, so it definitely has to follow a certain format. Okay, so when when the information is properly presented, okay, it gives an ample space for not only establishing the research scholar in his field of area, like if it is a legal field, so he can have his uh, skills revealed. Okay, skills can be like he can share his skills and he can share his knowledge with the out world. Okay, and it also helps outer world, and it also helps to uh, build a name and recognition in whichever area you are in. Okay, so in short, a research paper is a document which works on a given issue, and the researcher will carry on, or a research scholar will carry on a work on it. He will work on the issue, and whatever the findings he has, he publishes his findings, okay, through his paper.
Nice work, nice work.
Let us get into a further, and let us first look into the basic structure of a research paper. How a research paper is put in. Okay. Now, when we have a research paper, the first thing that we have is an abstract. So, abstract in a way is a miniature form of the research paper. Okay. Like it gives the reader a clear understanding about what the paper is all about. Okay. Now, research paper may run into sometimes 300 words or sometimes 1000 words or 2000 or 3000 words. So people may not have, like before they get into reading this 1000 or 1500 words or 2000 words, they should have a rough understanding what the paper is related to. Okay. So here abstract gives a clarity. Okay. It gives a clarity to the person what the paper is all about. Okay. So it presents or it gives the basic inputs what the research scholar is going to do in this paper. Right. So what is it related to, and what are the objectives of the issue? Okay, and what is the approach, and what is the research scholar trying to do towards the end of the paper? So he tries to give a basic inputs to prepare the reader. Okay, so at least after reading the abstract, the audience or the people will be clear with how to get along with this paper. Okay, moving on further, the first thing that we have as a part of a research paper is introduction. Okay, introduction gives the basic details of a research paper, like it sheds light on what the paper is. Okay, uh, what is the, like what is the main central idea about the paper? Okay, what is the issue that the paper sheds light on? Okay, what what is the approach? Why this is an important topic? What is the need for this particular topic? So these things can be further explored through this introduction section. Okay, if when actually this topic came into existence, what are the various issues related to this topic? Okay, why this topic is very important. Like here, we'll be giving a very good short introduction about the research paper which we are going to write, which we are going to compile. Okay, so moving on further. So once we have done with introduction, then we have the next thing that we have is literature review. So literature review basically is like if it is an issue, this is not the first time that the issue or a problem had started. There would have been people would have already done some sort of work on the problem. Okay, so literature review basically deals with the earlier works. Okay, whatever the earlier work that has been done by the previous research scholars. Okay, so their findings, their suggestions. So this and all will be acknowledged. So this and all will be very clearly stated in literature review. So here literature review gives details of this section of literature review gives details of the previous works that have been already accomplished in that particular area. Okay, like for example, uh, that a student wants to write a research paper on issues of winding up a company. Okay, what are the challenges of winding up a company? Okay, are there really any big challenges? Are there any big issues that have to be addressed. Let us say, for our understanding, this is a topic which the student wants to write. What are the challenges of winding up a company? Okay. Now, here, already based on this topic, few research scholars have definitely worked on that. And our research paper, and in our research paper, literature review session, will have acknowledged the previous research scholars' work. Okay, some X, some Y already has worked on this topic, and this is what he has to say. Okay, so that will be a literature review. This clearly states out what is the previous work that has been accomplished or that has been done earlier. Then we have methodology. So methodology is nothing but procedure or the approach in which the research is basically conducted. Okay, how this research is given a shape. Okay, now when a research is being conducted, there are two ways of conducting a research. Okay, like basically when we go with methodology of the research, here we are talking about data collection. Now, when it comes to data collection can be done either in the form of primary source or secondary source. Now, what is a primary source here and what's a secondary source? Now, if there is an issue, if there is a problem, okay, so only a research scholar cannot jump to a conclusion. He has to do some groundwork to arrive at a conclusion. Okay, like say suppose there is an issue. Okay, so when there is an issue, he cannot jump to answer that issue directly. So to find out the ground reality, okay, so to find out the ground reality, what he does is he frames up a questionnaire. Now, what is a questionnaire? Questionnaire is a short document which consists of a set of questions. Okay, where you have an option like you agree, strongly agree, disagree, or strongly disagree. And keeping the objectives of the paper, the research scholar very carefully formulates this questions so that he gets a good response from the questionnaire. And he administers this questionnaire. He shares this questionnaire with a group of people and he gathers their inputs. Okay. Now, what is he doing? He's adopting an approach or he's going with an approach to check how things work. Okay. What is the pulse of the people? Okay. How people think about this particular issue. Okay. So he gathers a data. Now, when a research scholar directly gathers the data from the audience or from the people, it becomes primary data source. Now, it's not necessary that always we need to initiate and we need to carry this primary data source. Sometimes the already data would have been done. Some work would have been done by others. So in that case, it becomes a secondary data source. Means we will not start from the ground zero. Okay, based on the same topic, some other X or Y would have done the questionnaire, would have administered the questionnaire, and the sample data is ready for us. Okay, he has done the basic job. Okay, by any means, methodology is like heart of the research paper. So what is the approach? How did the researcher carry on his research? What were his methods? Did he conduct oral interviews? Did he gather sample data? What was his approach? What did he do? How did he get along with the things? Okay, so this will be the methodology part. Once the data has been gathered, okay, then we have analysis. Okay, so analysis where we go with a critical approach. Whatever the raw data that has been taken, we try to analyze the data. The researcher tries to analyze the data. Okay. And based on the findings, like let us suppose you have an issue. So he gives the same questions to 100 people, and 100 people have answered this questionnaire, which has got, say, 10 questions. So now he analyzes that information. So what were the answers of this 100 people? Okay, how many people strongly agreed? How many people strongly disagreed? How many people did not pay attention, or how many people did not consider it as a valid point? Now he has an analysis. So analysis is where he understands what the situation is. Okay, and after analyzing uh, the information, the research scholar gets into a position where he can suggest some recommendations. Okay, I'm sorry for the spelling. So spelling typo error, recommendation spelling. Please ignore that. Now, once this analysis part is done, so based on his analysis, based on his field work, based on the data that he has got from the field, okay, he will make some recommendations. Okay, so recommendations means there may be some loopholes, there may be few drawbacks in the system. So he tries to address those drawbacks. He tries to give some suggestions to overcome those drawbacks. Okay, so recommendations part is very important. Why? Because this is where you stand apart from the other crowd. This is where your knowledge and wisdom can be expressed. Okay, this is where your critical thinking can be projected, because you're not just till this analysis part, you are dealing with the issue, you are dealing with the different ways of resolving the issue. But with recommendations, you show your maturity. You try to tell the world the problem is this, and we can solve this problem like this. Basically, there are people who talk more about the problem or issue. There are very few people who try to resolve the problem. Okay, so this recommendation section will show your clarity of thought, how you understand the things, what is your approach, okay, and what is your knowledge level. Because if you want to give a suggestion without knowledge, without uh, having good inputs of the law, okay, it's highly impossible to give your recommendations or to give your views. Okay, so recommendations is the next part which plays a very important role, and this is where you can show up your skills. What were your recommendations? Next, some people even go with adding a session on uh, need for further research. Now, when we take up a topic, initially we may think that it is a small topic, but as you go for, as you progress with your research, you sometimes realize that it is more than what you have thought. And definitely there will be other areas which need more focus. Now, after recommendations, some students even add up a session for need for further research. Means I have worked on only this areas. There is a possibility that you can further work on this areas also. Okay, so a recommendation, need for further research, and finally we have conclusion. So what is the conclusion? Conclusion section of your research paper includes. It highlights your objectives which you have stated in the introduction. Okay, so in introduction, you would have very clearly stated what is the main intention, why we are writing this paper. Okay, so that part can be clearly concluded or stated in the conclusion section. Okay, so basically these are the headings which a research paper is written with. Okay, now uh, if we go into the process of writing a research paper, so what I would suggest is you first, it's better that you read at least few research papers. Okay, so when you read few research papers, you get an understanding about how they have written the paper. Okay, so writing style is very important. Okay, the way uh, we document, the way we present, this is very important. And everyone has got his own way of presenting the things. The way I write may not be the same as you may be writing. So definitely there'll be changes in how we put forward our thoughts. And our thoughts have to be refined. So how this refinement comes, the refinement comes only with practice. Unless until you don't commit your thoughts on the paper and reflect on what you have written, so there may not be major changes in your thought. Like as they say, Rome was not built in a day. Okay, it had taken some years and decades for Rome to be completed. Okay, so practice, practice, practice. You need to first see where exactly you stand, how your writing is. Okay, sky is the limit. Don't get dejected, don't get worried, and don't take a back seat. Rather, plunge ahead, gather the courage, try to write as much as possible because no one is perfect. Okay, so a human being is a bundle of imperfections. So when you start working with improvising your perfections, you bring in a changes, and that's how your writing skills transform. Okay, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, and that single step is very crucial. Okay, so we should start with something the other. Okay, may not be a research paper. You better start with a short paragraph, write a short paragraph, reflect on your writing, and see how you have conveyed the message. Now, sometimes what happens is we'll have some thought in our mind, but when we, in the process of changing that thought into words, okay, it may not be the same. Our thought would have been something else, and the way we have conveyed the thought is completely different. So when you realize where you're lagging, okay, so some will have problem with grammar. So once the student understands like my grammar is weak, so definitely he has to work on his grammar. Okay, so some students have difficulty in putting across his thoughts. So once he realizes where he is committing a mistake, okay, so that consciousness will help him to further improve his work. And second thing is when it comes to research paper, so we are all in a digital area. Okay, so you type in anything on the Google, very next second, in a fraction of a second, Google will show you tons of information. But here we should be critical. Critical in not only selecting the information that is given by the Google. So I'm not saying like it's not true or I'm not finding fault with the information. But what I'm trying to say is research paper is a hard work of a scholar. Okay. So when it is a hard work of a scholar, we cannot just borrow the work of another research scholar, and without acknowledging his name, we cannot project that work as our work. Okay, so actually it is considered to be a big sin in the academic writing. Okay, there's a technical term for this. They call it as a plagiarism. Okay, plagiarism is a punishable crime. Okay, so like especially with doctoral works, you would have heard PhD scholars or MPhil scholars. If the university comes to know that the work has been borrowed from another research scholar and the scholar has failed to acknowledge it, without any mercy, his work will be rejected. So plagiarism, and with advancement of technology, there are many tools that easily catch up and will also show the resources from where you have taken the content. So this is not going to work out. Okay, and it also uh, puts a black mark on your skills, which is not good and which is not something that is recommended for upcoming uh, youngsters. Okay, so we should always take it a point that you're acknowledging the work of others. Okay, now this acknowledging the work of others will be done or is done to by the process of citation. Okay, so citation is like you see citation at the bottom of every page. Okay, now I have taken a thought of one particular research scholar. So I put the thought, I may put it in my words, or I may put it exactly, I may quote the words of the research scholar within quotations. So whenever you see quotations, understand that those words are not mine, those words are of some particular research scholar, which you can have access in the citation section. Okay, so citations are very, very important. Okay, so what happens if you don't go with citation? So, like say, suppose I am writing a research paper. Okay, obviously, my knowledge is limited. I may not be knowing each and everything in the world. So I'm not a super genius. Definitely, I would have borrowed some content somewhere who has already done the earlier work. So if I acknowledge it in my paper, so what happens is my credibility of the paper increases. If I tell them, see, boss, this is not what I am telling. This is something I have picked up from so and so website or so and so dictionary or so and so author. Okay. So what happens is my credibility increases. So people understand that yes, this particular person is genuine. He has done a good work and he has acknowledged the work also. And we need to draw a line where we are acknowledging it and where we are putting our part. Okay. So again, uh, uh, like if everything is based on others' thought, then the paper will not have any value because there is no contribution from your side. Okay, so as you can acknowledge, you can talk about the content, you can talk about the research of others. Okay, nothing wrong in that. But wherever you do it in a proper way. Give proper citation of the research. Okay, now where to get started? Okay, so in the beginning, everything looks a little bit difficult. Okay, but it doesn't mean like you cannot start or you cannot do this. Definitely, you can do this. Okay, so don't take a back step. Start with a smaller topic. Don't go with a very wider topic. Like say suppose you want to write a session on this particular like child labor. Okay, so don't keep the topic as child labor. So if you keep the topic as child labor, your research paper becomes very elaborate. Rather, fix up the problems or narrow down the topic, child labor issues in Nellore. Okay, here what you have done is you have narrowed down the problem to only Nellore region. And if you want to further make the topic more narrow, okay, child labor issues in so and so like Stonerspet area in Nellore district. So what did I do? I made my research very concise here. I'm very clearly saying that I'm not talking about child labor of the world. I'm not talking about child labor in India. I'm only talking about one particular location in Nellore district of India. Okay. So what happens is I'll be able to focus more on the issues and I'll be able to give a better, clear picture about the topic that I'm going to look. Okay. So this has to be done first. We need to get a clarity. You select a topic, you work on the topic, you identify the issues. Okay. Try to gather the basic information and you decide whether which approach has to be done. Then go for writing. Now, if it is still confusing, obviously it will be slightly confusing in the beginning. So what I've done is I have written few research papers on my website, lawtalks.in. Okay, the main intention of this website is to give more insights about legal research papers, articles. I have written both articles as well as few research papers. So as an initial start off, you can like what I would suggest is not only from this site, any research paper, you can just go through it and you can have a glance, a rough understanding about how a legal research paper is basically written. Okay, so apart from that, so there's a just a very beginning and starting session. So I'm definitely working on that. So we'll try to improvise this and we'll try to get into make it a bigger one. Even I'm planning for online mute sessions. So hopefully if everything goes in line, so we'll try to materialize this and we'll try to see that. So it is going to reach more and more people. Okay, so again, my intention is very clear. So, like, especially I have started this with an intention of the freshers. Okay, so like, say, suppose you want to land yourself in a legal house company, okay, legal house job, okay, or a legal house lawyer. So when you go for a job, obviously they will ask you what are your credentials, okay, why we should hire you. So if there are few research articles or few research papers that are published under your name, you can showcase them. You have some platform, some medium to talk and explain those things to the in the interview. Okay, so it's definitely better than someone who simply says, I have a LLB degree. Okay, so definitely they will give you more weightage. So that's a pure intention of doing all this. Let us see to what extent it works out and how it is going to materialize. Okay, so and yeah, so that was a little bit about today's session. Okay, so I'm very much thank you for your thank you for your active presentation, active participation, and hope have given you at least some basic inputs about the session. So if you have any questions, so again, I'm not a master of it. Okay, so I'm just working on trying to work on the issues. Okay, so if you want to share your, okay, already you have done. So yeah,
Yeah, thank you very much. This is
workspace
Senthil
and
Kumar.
so
It's a
no
really
worries.
wonderful
Always
session.
my
Thank you
pleasure.
very much for your
I should
time
be
and
thankful
you
I
have
was at least some helpful for you. So yeah, it is one. It's an initiative. So we have taken and definitely with your support, with all of the support, all of uh, student community support, let us take it to the next level.
yeah.
Right.
Who are all the students who are participating?
So
Definitely,
that
they
was
will
for
be
today's
benefited.
session. So there were some unexpected hiccups. Once in a while it happens. So I'm sorry for that. But any means, thank you once again for today's session. So I hope that the session was good. Please do
Yeah,
uh, like and share even the YouTube channel Law Talks Law Talks, and you can share. I'll just try to update this webinar on uh, the YouTube channel also. Right. Okay. Thank you. Have a good day. Stay
yeah. Able
blessed.
to hear me?
Thank you once again.
Unmute symbol click பண்ணிட்டேன். Hello. Yeah, your session is really wonderful, and I'm really benefited of it. In fact, I am doing PhD. So, in fact, I take a lot of inputs from you. So, probably I will interact with you separately sometime